the iPhone 6 Plus, the Galaxy Note 5, the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. To those with huge hands or huge demands, these are some of the only smartphones that matter in the high-end space, and each packs a wallop. From innovative interfaces to refined cameras to everyday conveniences, these phones get you where you're going, but they take completely different paths to get there. Which one fits your mitt better? I'm Michael Fisher with Pocketnow. Let's find out. For years, the Galaxy Note family was about as far removed from the iPhone as you could get. Samsung used to tout versatility above all, bundling in removable batteries, expandable storage, and all the fake leather you could handle, while Apple stuck to its popular but predictable formula of premium simplicity in a petite package. Apple changed up that strategy last year with an inflated iPhone aimed right at the heart of Samsung's big screen-loving audience. And Samsung's 2015 response is a Galaxy Note with fewer features, but a better build. And that goes double for the S6 Edge Plus. What it all comes down to is that these competitors have never been more similar than they are this year, but they're still nothing alike. The differences become apparent as soon as you pick them up. With wider radius corners and a smooth, slab-sided aluminum build, the taller and wider iPhone 6s Plus is also a bit more awkward in the hand. The thicker Note 5 has a glass back which curves down to meet an aluminum magnesium side rail. The glass makes it more prone to fingerprints, but it's also more ergonomic. The Edge Plus is a strange inversion of the Note 5's design that's easily the most awkward of the bunch. The Samsung phones also pack slimmer bezels and, to our eye, a more refined industrial design. Yes, elements of that design were plainly inspired by the iPhone, but then again, you could make the argument that the iPhone Plus was forced into existence by large-format smartphones, which the Note line pioneered. So let's put the kibosh on the who copied who argument. It just doesn't matter. Samsung, as usual, has a decisive edge when it comes to raw hardware and boast-worthy specs. The Note 5's larger display brings a higher pixel density, and its custom software takes advantage of that with a higher DPI setting that lets it squeeze more information onto the panel. It's also a Super AMOLED display, meaning its blacks are truly pitch black, and its screen has a wider range of brightness settings compared to the iPhone. The Note also has a bigger battery that charges faster and charges wirelessly, and it also uses USB, so if need be, you can get a replacement charging cable more easily. It's got a heart rate sensor that can measure your pulse and blood oxygen levels. It's got double the RAM of the iPhone, and Samsung Pay might be the new kid on the block, but it works in more places than Apple Pay in the United States thanks to its ability to mimic magnetic swipe card readers. All this is true of the Edge as well, with the notable difference of the curved display. Apple's victories are more humble, perhaps, but no less significant to the kind of customers that have made the iPhone such a success. While both of these phones pack fingerprint scanners, Apple's is significantly faster, and you can use it across a wider range of functions, like making purchases from the App Store. The iPhone comes in a 128 gig option, while the Note 5 doesn't. You can control the iPhone's notification status with the flip of a switch, while the Note makes you unlock it and fiddle with sliders. The iPhone's taptic feedback engine makes for a subtler vibrating alert than the traditional buzzsaw, and passing an iPhone to someone else to show them a funny thing is a lot easier than doing the same with a Samsung phone. You know what I'm talking about. Capacitive keys. Bad times. When it comes to software, the hits go back and forth. iOS 9 continues Apple's tradition of consistency at the expense of customizability. You always start at the grid of icons on the springboard, and you're not allowed to do anything aside from rearrange them. And even that you do on Apple's terms. Widgets are tucked away in the notification shade, and back buttons are ridiculously placed in the top left corner of most apps. Again, in the name of consistency and at the expense of common sense. By contrast, Samsung's custom build of Android Lollipop lets you do anything you want, up to and including reskinning the entire OS to look the way you want it to, or accessing the file system. Samsung's solution to one-handed accessibility makes just as much sense as Apple's reachability, and Google Now continues to be a much smarter voice assistant than Apple's Siri. What's changed on each side this year are the special interface enhancements. On the Samsung side, those include the Edge display features of the S6 Edge Plus and the new S Pen on the Note 5. Now, while we really like the S6 Edge Plus on the whole, the extent of its special features are app shortcuts and flashy notifications, so we'll focus mainly on the Note's integrated stylus, which is much more significant because this is the year the S Pen finally gets out of its own way and starts getting useful. From the instant memo functionality, to the write-on PDF software, to the new scroll capture screen cap mode, the S Pen is now a legitimate enhancement for more than just artists and old-school stylus lovers. It's something the average person could find useful. And as a bonus, the S Pen is also the surrogate mouse it's always been, adding hover, scroll, and preview ability to the smartphone experience. But for the first time ever in one of these comparisons, Samsung no longer has a monopoly on that ability. Apple's new 3D Touch adds a third level of interaction to the software experience by letting you press harder on the display to preview, say, a link, and then press a little harder than that to jump right into it. It's also useful as a fast shortcut for home screen actions that jump you directly to specific app functions. And the first time you use it to preview an email or a text message, you feel like a wizard. Obviously, it doesn't bring as much functionality as Samsung's S Pen, but it's still a very significant improvement to the iPhone experience. Maybe the most significant one in years. When it comes to photos, these phones are damn near neck and neck, at least when it comes to the end results. Yes, the Note 5 has higher resolution, but when you put the photos side by side, more often than not, it's a draw. When you get to really challenging stuff like low light, these go blow for blow. Sometimes the iPhone comes out on top, and sometimes the Samsung does. On average, the Note tends to bring in more light, while the iPhone tends to provide better color reproduction. But that's not consistent. Where Samsung manages to pull ahead, surprisingly, is in the details. Samsung wins the selfie camera battle hands down. Apple's use of the display as a front-firing flash is clever, but its refusal to use a wide-angle lens means you can't fit as much into the shot as you can on the Note. Samsung's HDR mode is also better than Apple's, brightening the shadows while retaining more color. And Samsung's viewfinder launches crazy fast with a double-click of the home key, while Apple's quick launch shortcut is rendered all but useless thanks to its super-fast fingerprint sensor. Apple does have live photos, where Samsung does not, but then again, Samsung has a lot more shooting modes, including a full suite of manual controls if you want to use them. We'll have more samples in our full iPhone 6s Plus review, but taken together, I think Samsung wins this particular camera battle. Other corners of the performance experience, again, flip back and forth. iOS has for a long time been good at making the most of a skimpy battery, and that holds true here too. We managed 1.5 days out of the iPhone 6s Plus battery before it needed a charge, while the Note absolutely needed a top-up every night. There's no measurable difference in software performance. iOS feels a little slower than Samsung's build of Android, but that's because of animations, not because of lag. And differences in speaker output are minor at best. It's design and intent, not performance, where these phones differ the most. You've heard it before, folks. Either way you go here, you're getting a great smartphone. If lots of your friends and family have the iPhone and you want to try life inside that world, you're bound to be impressed. As confining as it can be, and as cartoony as it looks from some angles, the iPhone is not a toy. It's a stable and well-designed platform, supported by the most robust app store there is. You'll almost never feel out of the club with an iPhone. On the other hand, the Samsung lineup of 2015 is unlike anything that's come from the company before. Particularly as it concerns the Galaxy Note, it's no longer a collection of disjointed elements in a clumsy casing targeted at tech heads. It's a beautifully presented bundle of features, open to customization by those who feel the need, and tailored for mainstream appreciation by those who don't. And, as the wireless charging pads at your local Starbucks can attest, the mainstream is definitely taking notice. It's always been the case that you can do more with a Samsung flagship than an iPhone, but 2015 just might be the year that a majority of people will actually want to. For me, Samsung takes the day. I'll be excited to hear what you think in the comments below. This is not Pocketnow's iPhone 6s Plus review, folks, Stay tuned for that and our iPhone 6s review landing later this week here on YouTube and at Pocketnow.com. Until then, this has been Michael Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Captain2Phones, and thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.